So let's kind of drill down there. You know, this is a closing technique, by the way. You guys ever do that when you're in the home? You answer all their objections. You say, okay, Joe, I mean, look, you don't got to worry about that. We're going to get you the best budget. We've got plenty of companies. So really, it doesn't sound like budget's really the issue. What really is the issue? Is it something I said that offended you, or did I get the feeling maybe I said something that offended you? See, you always got to find out. You got to drill down for the real reason why they're not moving forward, and you can't be maybe pammy about it, right? You got to call out all the objections, and you took care of this, you took care of that, you took care of the deal. Like, you're not really committing anything right now. You're committing to applying for a policy that we're going to determine if you can get qualified. Once we know you're qualified, then we're going to figure out if the premium price that we picked out is going to be the one that they're going to offer you, and then we'll adjust from there, right? We don't tell them they can cancel, okay? But it's still a close, but it's a conditional close based on the company approving them, right? And then, so we got rid of that excuse. Well, the budget, we really got to, hey, you're going to pick the budget right now. As far as submitting this, you're going to pick what's affordable in your budget, okay? And then we're going to see if they're going to approve you at that price level that you choose. So, and then you can go through the budget excuse. I've got a video on handling the budget excuse. I could go into it anyway. So you handle the budget excuse, okay? And so you're just sitting there staring at them, you're staring at each other. It's like, okay, well, look, there must be something else. There must be something I said or did. I'm getting the feeling maybe there's something I said or did that offended you, or maybe you just don't like me. Is that the reason why you're hesitating right now? Because my job is to protect you. And I get the feeling maybe there's something I did, right? It's called falling on your sword. It's also taking the temperature, right? So the falling on the sword thing works when you say, I get the feeling like maybe I said something to, make you angry or make you feel uncomfortable. What was it I said? So assume you said something. And then what you do is you want them to come back at you. And this is negative reversing, by the way. This is that pendulum idea of getting behind, okay? And you're saying this stuff is, and you're trying to push them to say, well, no, that's not that. Oh, okay, well, I'm just confused, but because you said, you go back to pain, well, you said you really needed this because you didn't want your family to have to pass the hat around, do a GoFundMe page, because that's pretty embarrassing. Like, they're going to advertise on Facebook that they need to do a GoFundMe page for your funeral. And that, that will, number one, be tremendously embarrassing to your family, because it just shows that, maybe you didn't pre-plan, you didn't care enough for your family to pre-plan the eventuality of your death. And I'm sure you wouldn't want, that to be on your family, would you? How strong is that, right? How strong freaking is that? See, because what you just said, you got to do it with a nurturing attitude, but the stuff you say to them, because the pain finding, right? They didn't want their family to. So there must have been something else. So what is it that's, what is it holding you back? There must be something I didn't explain properly. You just shut up and let them answer the question, right? Because you can't answer objection that hasn't been voiced yet, right? So that's your way of doing it. See, I'm getting into sales training now, right? Okay, budget excuse. Okay, I'll go through the budget excuse because Michael. Well, you know what? There's a lot of new people on here. I've done this like several times over the years, but it merits me going over handling the budget excuse. Okay. This is a very systematic way of doing it, and you have to do it like this if you're going to answer it properly, okay? And it helps to draw it out if you can. Now, if you're doing it online on a Zoom, I haven't really figured out how you can do it on a Zoom other than sharing. Okay, here's one thing that you can do on Zoom that will help you is get an overhead camera, right? And you got, there are really cool things that you can do that does overhead cameras, like an arm, one of these retractable arms, that you put an overhead camera, just like what I have right here, just like what this is, Okay, I'm pointing at the camera, right? What this is an overhead camera. You can get a cheap web camera and stick it over your desk where you can draw stuff out for them. Okay, I'd recommend that. Or you could use an iPad. Okay, and you can share using your, well, I'm going to pull it out, but you know, you see me do that where I've shared on my iPad. You can draw down on an iPad or a tablet. Okay. If you don't have the ability to draw something out for them, then you're really hampering yourself if you're doing a Zoom call, if you're doing telesales. I mean, you really are. Here's the beauty of doing it over Zoom is that they see you drawing stuff out. They see you kind of really getting into it, right? And hold on. Okay, I got the chat line on. Okay, so here's what I do with the budget. When they say, well, we got to see if it fits in our budget. Oh, okay. Well, do you mind if I kind of, you know, talk you through the budget thing? I mean, it's a budget issue, right? You're saying it's a budget issue. You know, this is how you continue to ask questions, restate what they said. So you're saying it's a budget issue. What is it specifically about the budget that you're kind of hesitating on? Well, we've got a lot of expenses and we're blah, 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 blah. They say whatever. They say this smoke screen, right? So in their mind, they're trying to fit this in their budget. So let's explain to them. So let me explain to you kind of, you know, kind of what I think about a budget. This is how I look at my budget, you know. So what is a budget really? Okay. So you bring in, just ballpark, tell me, you know, per month, you and your spouse together, household income, how much do you typically bring in? $8,000 a month. Okay. So like after taxes, you know, probably what is that? You know, like so, you know, just safely, what do you have as discretionary income that you to pay all your bills? What is that really? Yeah, it's probably like 7,000. So isn't a budget a priority list of things that you got to pay off first, right? So you got your first thing that's on your priority, like immediately you got to pay these things off or else you're going to be in trouble. And, you know, and then you come to the end of your budget, you've spent that $7,000 and then anything down here is sort of like you had any left over, it'd be fun to do, you know, you know what I'm saying? Is this what you think a budget is? What are you going to say? No. Yeah, that's okay. So tell me, what would you put as number one, the first thing that got to get paid? You know, I don't try to use sophisticated English, man, because I don't want to make them think that I'm some college graduate, you know. Unless they're college graduates, I kind of rise to the lower myself or raise myself to the level of the client, right? I never want to be better than the client. I want to be at least equal or lower than the client. Okay. So what's the first thing that you would want to pay off when you get your check? Well, I mean, my mortgage. Oh, okay, your mortgage. Okay, that's very important. I would agree. What's the next one that you would want to make sure you get paid, that you pay off? Well, probably the other important thing is our loans on our cars. I mean, you know, we're going to pay our cars. Okay, so you count auto loans. Okay, autos. Okay, that makes sense. Like seriously, gang, how many people don't have a car payment, right? And the people that have a car payment, that don't have a car payment, aren't giving you these budget excuses, okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, if they're smart enough to pay off their car and keep their car until their car dies, you know, then there's something relative to budget that they understand. But, you know, whatever, regardless, you're the auto. Oh, okay, cool. So what would be number three? I'm sure NFL All Access is number three, right? Your cable bill. I try to joke around with them. You know, because people are spending what, $200-300 a month on entertainment, all the streaming services. Like I'll suggest to them number three, you know, so probably before food and utilities. See, I'm trying to put in their mind things that are important by joking. So I say, you know, probably before food and utilities and stuff, you're probably, you probably put NFL All Access up there, or your Netflix streaming, and your, Time, or not Time Warner Cable, your cable and all that, right? Well, no, you're right. I mean, obviously we got to, make sure that utilities are paid, internet and all that. Okay, great. What's after that? Well, obviously we got to eat, food, okay, that sort of thing. So what do you think is after that? Like I just, well, college, we're saving for college for our kids. All right, cool. And, so where does cable come in here? Okay, so Joe and Mary, you get what I'm saying. Like, there's other things. And then also you get to zero. And then wouldn't you agree that all this stuff here are the extra stuff you have money left over, like going out to eat at a fancy restaurant, or, gifts for your spouse, if you have some money left over, maybe do. I mean, wouldn't we agree that anything below this line is the extra nice to have stuff, right? So we put, this is nice to have. Is that correct? Yeah, that's it. Okay. So let me ask you this question. You primarily are the ones, okay, this is you, right? You produce the income. You and then your spouse they probably do some of it too, or they do all of it. You tell me, you and your spouse produce that income. So let me ask you this question. If you have your house burns down, or if you have a flood, or, someone breaks into your house and steals stuff, does anything come out of your pocket for that? Or do you have anything that covers that if your house burns down or whatever? Well, yeah. What do you have for that? Well, we have insurance. Oh, okay. So part of your mortgage, insurance is important, right? Like, why is insurance important to cover your house? Well, I mean, for all those things you said, I mean, fire, damage, whatever, hail, my roof, have you ever had to exercise your insurance policy for your house? Well, yeah, we had a tree that kind of damaged the roof. So, our insurance paid for that. And, oh, that's awesome. That's great. What else? So your autos. So if you get into a wreck, what do you have to cover wrecks? And does that totally come out of your own pocket? You have or do you have one of those comprehensive plans? What do you have for your autos? Well, state of North Carolina, we have to have insurance. Oh man, yeah, that's right. Insurance, that's interesting. So you have insurance to cover your mortgage. You have insurance to cover your autos. Huh. Okay. But let me ask you this. What insures the income? What insures the income to pay for the mortgage and to pay for the car loans and to pay for utilities, food, and college? What do you have to cover you? You covered your house, you covered your auto. What do you have to cover you? Oh. So let me ask you, is this above the line or below the line? Well, yeah, it's above the line. Okay, I got it. That makes sense, doesn't it? That it's above the line? Yeah. Huh. Okay. So you're struggling to determine if it's in the budget, and that decision, if it's in the budget or not, you're putting it down here with, eating out at a fancy restaurant. It sounds to me like what you just said, is it in the budget or not in the budget? I guess what I'm suggesting is I'll draw a stick figure. You and your spouse are the ones that make the budget possible. Seems to me like the decision is here. And so the decision you really need to make is, 8, 9, and 10, which one of these go down here? I mean, is that what we're really talking about? Because, and I shut the H up and I let them come to the conclusion. So is it really a budget issue? And then I go, what is really the issue? It must have been something I said or did. Like, what is, like, And then I shut up and I stare at them. I don't say a word until they say something. I smile. And I'm doing this not confrontational, I'm very nurturing, right? Does this make sense, Michael? Does this make sense? I'm surprised you haven't heard this from me. Oh, the years you've been with us. I'm surprised you haven't heard this approach. I'm sure you have. Okay. Anyone have any questions on this? New to me. Yeah, Ted. Because Ted, you just joined us, right? I haven't gone over this in, I don't know, 6 months. It could have been, it actually could have been longer. I don't know. So this is, this is how you overcome the budget, and your words can be better than, will be better than mine, right? I mean, but you understand what you're trying to show them is that they prioritize things that are most important to them versus the budget conversation is tout here, which is, can we afford NFL access or not? Can we afford the extra $200 a season? I'll promise you, people stick it up here, man. They stick NFL All Access right up here. Now, don't you think ensuring the income should be higher than NFL All Access? This is your mindset, right? You get into this mindset, you understand what you're trying to do with people, you'll be able to answer any objection, any objection. And you start saying stuff like, so, I mean, look, I mean, you really don't want your family to do a GoFundMe. I mean, they're going to advertise all over Facebook that they need money for your funeral, which makes it look like you didn't really plan for your family and that you didn't really take care of your family. I'm sure you wouldn't want all your family and friends to know that, right? So my question is, do you have the balls to say that to them? Like, do you have the cojones to say it in a kind and nice way, right? Not in a challenging way, but in a kind and nice way. And you're doing it laughing. You're laughing like, I'm sure you wouldn't want your family to advertise all over Facebook a GoFundMe page because it just shows that you really didn't take care of your family and didn't plan for them. And you wouldn't want that, right? That's why we're here, isn't it? It's a question. Then you shut up and let them answer the question. Because I don't know if I can be that bold. Well, then that just tells me you don't care enough about your client, right?